Bless this meeting with your divine intelligence and help us to make the best use of our own. Please share a little of your wisdom with us and help us do right by all concerned. Thank you for your heavenly blessing. Amen. Pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's kind of a quiet month. We don't have a lot of announcements. We'll have time later if anybody else has anything they want to say. I do know that this is going to... the only thing is just mention our next meeting will be February 15th. We have some other stuff. Sally is continuing to send out some emails on our newsletter. We have events in there, so everybody's getting those. We'd like to do something local in this time of the year, and I've talked about, actually Sally brought up the idea of having Ken come tonight to talk about the Drain Commissioner and what they do, since most of us, me included, know very little about it.
Introducing myself, I was born and raised here in Onekma, Michigan. Actually, I'm living in the house that I was raised in. I bought my mom back in '07. I spent 25 years at the Sheriff's Department. I went through the ranks as a deputy. I was a Marine officer, emergency management coordinator. I retired as a lieutenant with the emergency management coordinator. I retired in 2008 with 25 years of service. At that time, the position for county commissioner was open. Janice McCrainer was running for election at that time, so that was vacant, so I ran, and I was fortunate enough to get elected. So I spent the last 8 years as a county commissioner. During those 8 years, we had 2 previous drain commissioners come up, and all of a sudden we're having all kinds of problems with the drains. This has to be done, money's going out left and right. And myself and the other 6 commissioners had no idea what these persons were talking about. We had no idea we even had drains in Manistee County at that time. Drainage districts, I should say. And so we started asking questions, and of course, the 2 previous drain commissioners says, this is what we're going to do, and we don't care what you guys say, because we have the power and the authority to do it. And guess what? They did. We had a lot of power in this position right here. And I was surprised, and so was everybody else. So the last election here, I was the county chair for a couple of years. I talked to Mr. Smith at that time, and I said, let's work together and try to get these issues drawn out. And he said, sure, as long as you do what I say. And that doesn't work. I'm sorry. So I ran against him, and I was fortunate enough to beat him at that time. So here we are. And my number 1 goal was to educate myself and the other county commissioners at this time, and everybody else, the township supervisor, township boards, and anybody else that's interested in drains, to learn what these things are and how much power this position holds and why we have to be aware of what's going on out there in drains. So we're going to start with a little history. Okay, we're going to go back to the 1800s. When Michigan was not even a state yet. That's when all this started, and that's why it's such a big mess today. So, okay, Michigan Drain Code of 1956, Act 40 of 1956. That's when they turned the drain code into chapters instead of just having papers flying around everywhere in different sections all over the place. They put it all together. So, the drain code of 1956 is complex, and very few people know of it, and very few people understand it. I'm learning everything every day, and I've talked to other drain commissioners who have been doing this for 15, 20 years, and they're still doing stuff on this. That drain code is that thick, and it covers everything. So. In 1816, the Tiffany Report stated that Michigan is nothing but swamps, lakes, and poor sandy soil not even worthy of surveying. Maybe 1 acre and 100 or 1,000 could be cultivated. That's how swampy Michigan was back in 1816. Lansing, under several feet of water back in 1835. 1823, intermittent fever. Of course, that had to do with all the swamps around. Actually, the lower part of the southeast part of Michigan was nothing but a swamp. The whole thing was swamp. That's hence where the drain codes and the drain commissioners come into play to drain all of that. 1832, 1834, and 1849, cholera. 7% of Detroit population died in 1934 from the cholera outbreak. 1819, the federal government authorized the first supervisors to construct drains to protect the roads. Well, we didn't have cars back then, so what kind of roads did you have? You had wagons. So they were concerned about the wagon routes at that time. 1827, federal government. Again, we weren't a state until 1837, so we're still all under federal law at that time here. Drainage districts, even back in 1827, there was conflicts between property owners, like we have today. So, property owners fighting over drainage districts and who has the right of way for this and that started a long time ago. 1846, now we're a state. The federal government justified drain laws on the basis of public health. And then we go back to the cholera outbreaks and stuff like that is where they justified having the drain laws. Lenawee County was the first appointed 3 drain commissioners in 1847. The Swamp Act, 1850. This act was a mechanism the federal government used to give property to the states. When the federal government gave the state property, the state had to drain that property to make it cultivable so you could grow crops on it. So that's when a lot of the swamps and stuff were started to get drained. So if the state says, yeah, I want this property, the federal government says, yeah, we'll give it to you, but you have to drain it and you have to make it worthy to grow crops on it. 1857, county level commissioner structure introduced maintenance of authorized drains for the first time. Everything before that was townships. As you can see, in 1897, the township drain commissioners were abolished by the state, and all the authority was turned over to the county. Michigan Drain Code in 1956. Reorganized into chapters back in 1956, like I said earlier. Increasing the complexity of drainage needs requiring a recodification. That's restructuring of the drain code. Over 200 amendments since 1956. And when I talked to the DEQ today, they says within the last couple of years there's been a lot of changes in the drain code, even since just the last couple of years. Despite many attempts, no major recodification of the drain code since 1956. That tells you one or two things, or a couple of things. Number one, it's real complex and people don't understand it and try and change it to make it better, they don't know. And number two, that the association, the Drainage Association of Michigan is very, very powerful. That's what it tells me. When I went to my first class, we could see that, okay, these guys know what they're talking about, these guys. And they do. Actually, the attorney for the association, a female attorney, she's been doing drain laws for 27 years. That's all she does. Okay. Since the drain code is based in these earlier statutes, it is most likely one of the reasons why the drain code continues one of the more archaic portions of the Michigan statutory laws. So it's one of the oldest laws on the books, and very, very little changes to those laws. The state statute, this is the authority that the state gives the drain commissioner. County Enforcement Agency for Soil and Sedimentation Control, if we had one of those in the county, I would be in charge of that. Delegated authority regarding inland lake levels. I do have Bear Lake, I probably have the authority to regulate the lake and Bear Lake level. And I'll get into that a little bit here when we get to the Bear Lake section a little bit. County Parks and Recreation Commission. If we had a county park, we don't have one, all the townships have their own, and the city has their own. If the county had one, I'd be on that commission. Great Lakes Irrigation Board, chairperson, if we had one of those, I would be the chair of that. County Board of Public Works, if the county had a public works department, I would be on that board. Lake Improvement Boards, I'm on two. I'm on the Bear Lake Improvement Board and the Bar Lake Improvement Board. Statute says I have to do. I have to appoint the drain commissioner on there.
What's the other lake you're on?
Bear Lake and Bar Lake.
Bar.
Yes. Any lake that has a improvement board, okay? And those are the only two.
What is the PLA?
I'm sorry?
What is the PLA?
PLA? That's Portage Lake Association.
You're not on that.
No, it's not. It's not a board. It's not a board set up by government entities through the state. It's set up by the township of Necoma and the village of Necoma. So they didn't go through the process of making them an improvement board. So they're just an association. Now, if for some reason down the road they change that to an improvement board, and then I would be on the board too. Lands divisions and plots. If we had one of those divisions, I would be on that. So those are the hats the drain commissioner has. When I ran for the drain commissioner back in 2016, these were my goals: to identify the drainage districts in Manistee County, update and map all drainage districts in Manistee County, look at closing Kettle Drain, seriously, close all drains no longer in use. And those are still my goals. I have not changed my thinking on any of those, and I've made some progress on some. Some of the stuff takes a while, and we'll get into that a little bit later here. What I've done, what we have done, because the county planners helped me out a lot with some of the stuff. He started working with the previous drain commissioner on some of the stuff, and then for some reason those two had a falling out, and nothing got accomplished. But he had a lot of information stored in his computer. We have 19 drainage districts in Manistee County. Of the 14 townships in Manistee County, 8 of those townships have drainage districts in their area. Luckily for Bear Lake, they have the most. Bear Lake's got 7 drainage districts. And I already talked to your township supervisor. We're going to meet hopefully in May or June, sometime in that area there, and we're going to discuss these drainage districts. I talked to Jeff, and I want to meet with that board and see which direction they want to go. This is important, something I found in the drain code. Like I said, again, that drain code is about an inch and a half thick. Within the drain code in 1956, chapter 8, section 280-196, subsection 4. This subsection gives the drain commissioner the authority to assess $5,000 in any 1 year per mile to the drainage district for maintenance and repairs. Now, that doesn't include attorneys, that doesn't include engineers, that just includes, if you have a drainage district and you're in it, and I can charge you $5,000 a year to maintain that section that you're in. Okay? Plus any attorney fees, plus any engineering fees and costs. So it can get pretty expensive. Manistee County's got 17 miles, which could possibly cost people in these drainage districts $85,000 a year.
Yes, with no voting, it's just that we're.
No one has any say-so other than the drain commissioner. If I wanted to open those drains up right now, I could charge everybody in that drainage district $5,000 a mile. And no one would have a say. Yes.
Does the drain commissioner have to justify why?
I just did. It's to maintain and repair the drains. That's all you have to do. So that's all I got to say is, hey, there's trees in my drainage district. I need to clean them out. It's very simple. Yes.
Do you have to be on these bricks or actually physically on?
No.
So is everybody within the township with the assessment?
No. People, and what I haven't had a chance to do yet, which is going to be added to this presentation, is get the districts outlined, okay? And I got a little bit of that here, but I don't have the map, so I want to get on here. And that's what the plan and I are looking at now. But no, it's the people that are in the drainage district. Now you got to remember, these drainage districts were set up in 1904. Okay, the one I was looking at today, by the way, 1904, it was established. In 1909, 1916, and that's when these drainage districts were established, most of them. Okay, now we're getting to Bear Lake. Bear Lake's got 7. They have Bear Lake Drain, and it's also in Pleasanton Township. Everybody knows what Bear Lake Drain is? That's the outlet of Bear Lake. And the Beaver Creek Drain, if you look at Beaver Creek, that was established in 1905. You're also going to look underneath there. That's the sections that these drains are in. It doesn't cover all the sections, but part of that section is in that drainage district at least. And what I'm working on now is, like I say, a map and getting the property IDs and stuff like that for this presentation to add to it. And that Big Kaiser Drain, Chief Lake Drain, Gustafson Drain, Whitson Drain, and School Drain. If you look at the dates, 1907, 1919, 1906, all well over 100 years ago. Oops. Bear Lake Drain, 0.8 miles, $5,000. Beaver Creek Drain, blue, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a year. For those 4 miles. Big Kaiser, Chief Lake is 1. Gustafson Drain, 1 mile. Whitson Drain, 2, over 2 miles. School Drain, 0.03. But guess what? Bear Lake doesn't have it as bad until we get to Maple Road. Yes?
If the drain commissioner decided to, let's say you decided all of those needed maintenance,
Yes.
you have to, at the end of the year, account for the money?
Well, I'm sure that would be too hard to do, so many hours. Like I said, if I contacted the road commission to clean out a drain in October or something like that, I'm sure they would be sending me a bill as to how many hours and what type of equipment and manpower and stuff like that. That would be all my time, yes. That would all have to be accounted for. Plus my secretary that has to help with that, her hours, his hours, whatever it is. Plus the engineer over and above. Plus the attorney that has to make sure that everything is dotted and crossed and stuff like that. So, Brown Township, they have 1 drain, which is also in with Bear Lake Township, Chief Lake Drain. Sections 3, 4, and 5 of Brown Township. Wiley Township, Green Lake Drain. It also runs into Stronach Township. That was established in 1916, Section 25 of Wiley Township. Brown Township, Chief Lake Drain, 1 mile. Wiley Township, Green Lake, 1.25 miles. Manistee Township, this is all the fun stuff here. Bar Lake Drain, established in 1904, sections 9, 16, 17, 20, and 21. Now, the conflict the discussion we're having today is that the outlet to Bar Lake is plugged by ice and sand. Okay? Township supervisor called me last week. I met with him last Friday along with the county board chair, Jeff Dance. And at that time, I didn't know whether or not that was in my drainage district or not, because I still don't know all the boundaries on all of them. So this afternoon, after I called the DNR, after I called DEQ to find out what my authority was there, if I was in the drainage district, I found out I wasn't. So it all falls back on Evanston Township. But that outlet is plugged and the water level for the Bar Lake is rising. And I took some pictures of a couple of houses that have water, they're almost to islands. So they're gonna have to do something fairly soon. McGinnis Drain, I'm not sure when that was established, I haven't found the records on that yet. Cromer, not sure, but they were combined in 2016 when we did the drainage district and when they put the new drains in there along by the hospital. So they were combined together at that time by the previous drain commissioner. Cemetery drain. Anybody hear that? Wendy's, right alongside Wendy's there. There's a small little drainage district there. Bar Lake Drain is 0.6 miles. McGinnis Cromer Drain is 3.8 miles. Now, see, my understanding is right now there's an assessment on McGinnis Cromer Drain. It's going to be paid off in 9 years now. There's a 10-year assessment. I can, if I need to clean that out, I can still charge, my understanding. I can still charge $5,000 a mile to keep that drain cleaned out. What they're paying their assessment on is just the work that's already been done, not cleaning it out and taking care of it. So, over and above the assessment, which is pretty high, I could still go, guys, if I needed to clean that drain out, I could still assess them more, 5,000 a mile. I just want everybody to be aware of how complicated this is and how expensive this can get to people living in these drainage districts. Cemetery drain, it's not very large. I'm not even sure, it's maybe a couple tenths of a mile or something like that. Maple Grove, they only got 5 drainage districts, but we'll look at something here in the next slide. You got the Bond Drain, established in 1916, Blitzen Drain, not sure when the date is. Lindros, Numala, 1919. Maple Grove Drain, 1906. Big Kaiser Drain, I haven't found the date on that one. 13.5 miles, a little bit more than Bear Lakes. We got the Bond Drain, it's over a mile, Blitzen over 2 miles. Lindros over a mile, 6.6 miles from Maple Grove Drain. And most of these run along very quick, almost all of them. You look at the map there and you can see the key on the left tells you where the drain is, what color the drain is. And then look over there on the map after the presentation here and you can see where those drains are at. Norman Township, Mud Lake Drain. He was trying to do some work, the previous drain commissioner was trying to do some work there in the last couple of years. Pleasanton Township, Rumley Drain, Bear Lake Drain. Again, they're all, like I said, most of them are established. Like the Bear Lake Drain was probably established about the same time Rumley was, I'm thinking. Norman Township, Mud Lake Drain, over 1 mile. Pleasanton Township, Rumley Drain, Bear Lake Drain. 3 miles in Rumley. Scotty Township, Green Lake Drain, established in 1916. Federal Road Drain, established in 2014. Hopefully unestablished in 2018. Okay, that's my goal. Green Lake Drain, over a mile. Kettle I don't have the specs on how many miles that one is yet. My goals: continue to map and survey the county drains. Okay, like I said, I was talking with the county planner today. He's got a lot of information for me. What I want to do is add to this presentation. I want to go to each township. I'm going to map out each one of the drains, put them on a map on this presentation. that map, I want to put all the property ID numbers on that, okay? So if a realtor is wanting to sell it, or an individual wants to know anything or drain, they can go to the county website, the post on the county website. That's,
Where would this information be posted?
sometime right now.
On the website?
I'm going to post it on the county, Manistee County website, under the Drain Commission. And I don't have it for probably 3 or 4 months yet, at least, because the county planner and I are just getting going on it now. But as we get them done, I want to, first of all, my first goal is to go to the townships, talk to the county board, or township boards, and to find out what they want to do with these drains. I'm not going to do it myself. There's 2 reasons these drains were established. Obviously, they were all established in the early 1900s. Number 1 was to drain fields for cultivation and farmland. Number 2 is for the lumber barons to get their logs down to the steel rate, so they can process them to their mills. If you look at a lot of these maps over here, especially in Maple Grove Township, a lot of these are along Bear Creek and the other creeks. And it's my belief, and I know I have proof on this, but I haven't seen you couldn't use them for farming. So I'm thinking the lumber barons probably in those days probably wanted to dam the creeks up so the water could get up there and they can get their logs down to the summits. That's my thinking. Yes,
Is there a reason you didn't have Springdale on there?
it's because you don't have a drain in your district.
We didn't cover the Bear, up the train. Bear Creek.
Nope, nope. Now, I don't believe you are. I'll double check, but I don't think you have.
Praise the Lord.
There you go. Miracles every day.
It would seem like the biggest drain in the county should be the river, and yet you have nothing, you have no districts around it.
No. The only time, nothing around Manistee Lake or the river, nothing around the Little River, nothing. Not until you get to Bear Creek and some of those small little tributaries coming into Bear Creek is when you got the drains up by Maple Grove and up there. So that's when you start running into the different drainage districts. And that's why I'm thinking at this time, I haven't done any research on it yet, is that the lumber barons wanted to dam these creeks out. I'm sure they're probably on both sides of the rivers and creeks at that time. And they wanted to dam them out so they could get their logs down to the mills. That's my belief at this time. I see no other reason for it. Most of them was land that they couldn't do any farming with. So, but then you have the other ones like the Lumley, Lumley drainage district, way up here, this little thing right here. That's Lumley's drainage district. Way up on top of the hill. Why would you want a drainage district? It has to be for farming. So those are the 2 reasons that I have come up with, or can come up with, to justify why they put these drainage districts in here. Yes, sir.
Question, do you have to authorize before any work can be done on these drainage areas?
These established drains, no. I just, if someone comes to me, if you come to me and say, hey, I'm having a problem in my drainage district, either with your land or your house or whatever, I can go there, take a look at it and say, hey, it's $15. So I can, myself, go and contact people, have it done, because these drains are already established, and then charge people in the drainage district.
I'm talking about the established ones, but I'm saying they get blocked up with trees.
Right,
And
that's what I'm saying. I can go,
I know you can go,
Yeah.
but before the work is done, you have to authorize.
yeah, I have one. The drain commissioner has one. You yourself aren't supposed to do it. I know
I was
people do.
thinking of the township or something like that.
No, they're not. If it's in a drainage district, authority comes to the drain commission. Okay. If the township board is discussing, if someone comes to the township board should contact me if it's in a drainage district. If it's not, then the township board has the authority. The road commission, if it's right next to a road or whatever. So, the only ones I'm talking about are land, creeks, whatever, in a drainage district. That's why it's important to know where they're at. That's why I want to get these maps. That's why I want to see the drainage district. Okay, if you're outside the drainage district, I have no authority. If you're inside one of the drainage districts, that's my authority. So if you don't, If you're not in there, you know, it's either a township issue, county issue, or a road commission issue. All right? Or maybe a state issue or whatever, if it's on state property or whatever. The only time I have the authority to do something is when it falls within one of those districts. Yes?
Where you also have the ability to form a drainage
Yes.
district, right?
Yes, yes. That's actually, it's complicated. Unfortunately, when Kettle Hole got established, it was the drain commissioner and his engineer at the time talking with the road commission, because the road commission's got to get involved, and you have to have public hearings and everything like that. And it takes a lot of time and effort to get one established, but at that time, none of us knew the drainage district really was and how it operated. That's why I'm here tonight. So, yes, sir.
If I'm out walking around, say up by Bear Lake, I got two questions. How do I know if I'm in a drain? And second is, if it's plugged up, how do you clean it? Like, do you have these big, heavy equipment come in and take out the mud and stuff, or what?
Well, on your first question, you won't know because nothing's marked. That's what one of my goals is, actually, is to mark these things out, put them on the Manistee County webpage so people can go there and say, hey, am I in the drainage district or not? Or a realtor can go there and someone's property, is it in a drainage district or not? And your second question, if I had to clean out a drain, my first goal would be to go to the road commission. Okay, they have the heavy equipment, all the way, from chainsaws all the way up to the heavy equipment to handle that kind of a situation. And then they would bill the drain commissioner, who in turn would assess the people in the drainage district. Okay, so whatever, like I say, if there was a drain that was plugged up, whatever, I most likely have to have an engineer come in there if it's a larger job, and let him decide and tell me, since I'm not an engineer, what is the best process to take care of this problem.
And what's the difference between a drain and a ditch? Because all the roads have ditches.
Yep.
Is there a difference? Because they drain water, and sometimes they fill up with cattails and stuff.
Yeah, but that's all road commission. That's all road commission right away. There were some drains along Portage Lake there a couple of years ago that the other drain commissioner was getting involved with, and there's no drainage district. If it's not in a drainage district, I have no authority to do anything. That's either a road commission or a township or county issue.
But if your ditch is filling up, the road commission has the authority.
Yes. Yeah, if it's alongside the road, and it's not in the drainage district. If it is in the drainage district, the road commission and I just talked to Mark today a couple times, and we would sit down and discuss the best way to take care of the problem. And that most likely, if it was in the drain, the biggest difference between a drainage district and a non-drainage district is the people in the drainage, if the work has to be done in the drainage district, the rest of the people in the county aren't paying for the project. The people in the drainage district are. Okay, so if you're in a drainage district, it's on this side of 31 here, and there's work being done here, you're paying for it. People on the other side of the road are not paying for the work that's being done to help you guys out. The whole purpose of a drainage district is for the benefit of the person in the district, the people in the district. Okay, so most of them need it or want, I shouldn't say most, but the reason they formed back in the day was because they wanted to farm, they wanted to get their lumber down to the sawmills and stuff like that. So they wanted these drainage districts. Well, who's paying for them? The owners of the property. And so most of them were the lumber baroners, or most of them were the farmers. If you go downstate, you see that there's hundreds and hundreds of drainage districts downstate. On Lansing, Detroit, even just Mason County here has got a number of drainage districts. Who pays for those? Who's ever in their district? Mostly farmers. They want their fields to be dry so they can get the crops in and plant the crops. So that's what they were formed for mostly. Up here in Michigan, or in Manistee here, I should say, there's not that big of a need for them. Not anymore. It might have been at the time, at the turn of the century, back in 1900s, early 1900s, but I don't see at this point a need for them. Talking to the planner, he's not really seeing a need for most of them. And of course, a couple of them, McGinnis, Cromer, there's a need for those guys, but for a lot of it, there's no need. A lot of this work can be done. Like I say, if I let's say I took Mud Lake here, and I dissolved this drainage district here, right now it's mostly swamp, lowland. If I dissolve that drainage district, if any work needed to be done in that drainage district, it'd fall to the road commission or whoever, they would do the work. Or the whole township would do the work. The township would pay for it, not the people in the drainage district. See what I'm saying? Yes, sir.
Seems like a lot of this is like a 100-year-old hodgepodge that
Most of it is.
doesn't make a lot of sense now. For a lot of this, would it be better to take a look at maybe down the road, getting rid of some of
That's what I'm doing.
and going,
That's my goal.
and do it on a township basis or something?
Well, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I've been trying to explain here tonight.
All right.
Is when I'm done with my PowerPoint presentation, I'm gonna have all these maps mapped out, all these drainage districts mapped out underneath each individual township. And then underneath the maps, I'm gonna have the parcels, land parcels in there. So the owners of those parcels know that they're in a drainage district. And I'm gonna sit down with the township boards, and the boards and myself can decide what I want to do. If this thing hasn't, if this Mully drain hasn't been used in 100 years, is there a need for it? Let's ask Pleasanton Township. Maybe they think so. There's three things we can do. If there's no need for it, there's two things we can do. We can either get rid of it, which costs a little bit of money to dissolve the drainage district, or we can leave it alone and do nothing with it, and hope that the next drain commissioner doesn't decide he wants to open it back up. If you want to maintain it, those are the three things. You can dissolve it, maintain it, or do nothing with it. The cheapest way is to do nothing with it, but if you can rely or trust the next drain commissioner not to do anything, then you're fine. Remember, $5,000 a mile. Okay? That's what he has the authority to do. Yes.
Is it mandatory to have a drain commissioner?
Yes. Yes. When I was on the county board, I think Dwayne, we looked into dissolving the drain commissioner in statute, that's not state statute. You have to go through the state. The state says you don't have a drain commissioner if you're over such a certain population, and we're way over the population. Yes, sir.
The assessment per mile, is that mandated by the state?
Yes, all these, if you go into the drain code, actually that strip, that one page I took, it was right out of the drain code. Well, I think it was word for word. So, yes. But yeah, we looked into, because we're having such a conflict, disagreement with the two previous drain commissioners, we actually looked into seeing if we can dissolve the drain commissioner position and turn it over to the road commission. No, we can't do it. It's a state statute, it has to be done by state law. Done in Lansing. Any other questions? Yes.
If you dissolve a drain district, then the people that live in that township have to assume whatever costs there are for solving problems in the future. Then people that don't even live near the drain are going to have to pay their part too.
Right. That's why I'm going to sit down with the township boards and let them decide what they want to do with those drains that are no longer being used. But the mere fact is, because I don't live in those drainage districts. Okay, I don't live in those townships. My township doesn't have a drainage district in it. So the town boards, township boards, and see what they want to do. I'm going to keep everybody in the loop and let them make that big decision, because ultimately, like you said, if that drainage district is dissolved, anything that happens in that area is going to be falling onto the township or the county to fund the money, the money to fix.
And also your, like, let's say it's a small drainage district, I can see where the rest of the people in the township would show up at a township meeting and say, you're not going to charge us for that, and the poor guys that live in the area where they're being flooded out are just out of luck.
Well, the township board will have to decide what they're going to do. I mean, if they want to dissolve it, I'm more than happy to help them dissolve it. But that's one of the consequences of dissolving it. So, I mean, that's, when we sit down, I'm gonna make sure they know the pros and the cons, because there's some cons involved here too. I mean, if you do nothing with it, it doesn't cost anybody any money. You leave it there, and then if something happens down the road and you need some work on it, then you can assess the individuals that are in the drainage district. I mean, there's 3 different ways you can go about this. Yes.
Question. Your opening remarks talked about the fact that Michigan was very swampy
Yes.
and they didn't have enough farmland. Is there any other place this is documented? Number one question.
Most of that information came from when I was first elected here in last year in January. I went to school down in Lansing, and all that information came from a presentation. Everything from Michigan on this presentation came from a presentation that I was involved or listened to down in Lansing, and that presentation was put together by a female attorney that had 20-some years experience in drainage. So I think she knows what she's talking about.
Okay. Let's go to the Lumley one you said is on a hill.
Yes.
That doesn't sound like it's going to create a threat to anybody.
I haven't walked it or anything yet, so, but I agree with you.
I mean, 'cause, you know, gravity is going to take care of the problem.
Right.
And do you have a lot of drains that are similar to the Lumley one that can't possibly be creating a problem?
Well, I haven't seen the one down here yet. This is one in Fire Township. Lumley, I had busy last summer here, so I wasn't able to walk or check a lot of these out. And most of these are all along Bear Creek or tributaries that go into Bear Creek. And most of them are either in swampy areas. Very few are up on high ground like Lumley is. Most of them are down by the rivers in swamps. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Yep.
Hey, when I came to town a long time ago, when I was coming into town from Cadillac, I saw all this water out here, and I thought it was a swamp. And I was correcting as soon as I say wetlands. And so, what's the difference between a wetlands and a swamp? And how come it's not being drained? There's water out there.
I'm going to direct you to the DEQ on that. How's that? To me, they're both pretty much the same, wetlands and the swamp.
Well, I had a lot more respect for it once I found out it was a wetlands, because you can't shoot ducks and things, I guess, then.
That's true.
You can fish. You can fish in the wetlands, can't you? Is it a wetlands, or is that just, somebody just told me that?
I don't know. You're going to have to ask someone else with a little more knowledge on wetlands and swampland.
That area where 55 joins up with 31, that's, I see the sign there says wetland.
It's wetland.
Audubon wetland or whatever.
Yeah, but you can put a sign like that up anywhere.
I was just looking for something in Springdale. I don't have anything in Springdale. So.
Pardon?
You said something earlier about Springdale?
Yeah, I think there's one.
No. It might be this one right here.
Yep, that's it. And Bear Creek, I think, again.
Well, it says Bear Creek drain. Right here.
What would be the criteria for closing drains? Would it be like 100-year flood as an occurred, or?
Actually, these drainage districts really don't have anything to do with 100-year floods. What they had to do with in the early 1900s was to drain property or clear property, get water off of property so you could farm it. If you go, like I said, if you go downstate, if you didn't have the drains downstate where you did, it'd all be underwater. They're all swampland. They all give you 2-3 feet of water. And if you didn't have these drains, and like I said, around the Detroit area, you have thousands of them. And you know, this position was needed down there in the bigger cities and around the different counties down that way. This position was actually needed. As you get further north, when you got the hills and stuff like that, it's not as flat. I think that does away, or it takes care of the problem itself.
So you look at elevation and
Well, I'm sure that has a big thing to play in it. So.
where the water would dissipate to,
Right.
and then if it had adequate drainage or area for it to spread to, that wasn't you would, it would be,
Right. Well, what I would, you know, most of these drainage districts were formed because someone had a problem, okay, and they complained either to the county or whatever that they needed to drain this water or to get water to do this or to do that with it. Okay, that's why these drains were formed. They have a purpose. And if no one's going to complain, there's not a problem. And so most of these drainage districts here, I'm sure, because people wanted to fire or people wanted to get their lumber to the sawmills. And that's why they were formed.
Maybe I missed it. Like you said, you don't have, your township has no drain commission.
It has no drainage districts.
Ditches. What if people wanted to form?
Well, the first thing I'd ask them is what purpose do you want your drainage?
You know, if they have a problem or something, but why, I don't know why anybody would, at least
Yeah. Well, the
but
big,
they could go ahead and get
yes.
it moved together.
Well, like it was done, like it was done a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
they would contact the drain commissioner. Actually, Kettle Hole Drainage District, there was a letter sitting on Di Benedetto, that's the second previous drain commissioner, way back 8 years ago, on his desk, from the previous drain commissioner, saying that someone was having problems up in that area. And the other drain commissioner didn't do anything about it, so when Mark took over, he started looking into it. And he must have decided at that time that they needed to correct the problem that he thought was out there. What they did was, when they first went to, you have to get an engineer, and they got to do a survey, which costs as to what the problem is, how to correct the problem, and how much will it cost to correct the problem. And then you go to the road commission, that board has to okay it, which was done, and you have public hearings. And once you have your public hearings, and no one can test it at that time, or is from the time of the public hearing, there's a 10-day window that if someone wants to contest it, they have to contest it through the circuit court judge. Well, that's where we were a little later. I mean, people started finding out that Kettle Hole was coming in, and by the time we heard about it and people were starting to contest it, it was too late. It was already way past the 10-day window. So once the public hearings are done and there's a 3-member board that decides whether to go ahead with it or not go ahead with it, and that 3-member board is picked by the drain commissioner.
So it's really up to the drain commissioner. If
Yeah.
they decide they need
This
20 more.
3-member board is supposed to be impartial. It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, but they decide whether or not to go forward with it. So you got a number of different steps to form it, to go through. But if everybody is just listening to one person and not second guessing or doing their own homework, okay, yeah, sounds good, sounds like we need it. And I can see why some of these groups did what they did. I wish they wouldn't, but I wish they would have done their own homework. Yes, sir.
A couple of years ago, when I used to go to the county commission, the drain commissioner, not you, would come in and explain something. He didn't always show up when they were supposed to. You know that. But when he did, he'd explain something, and when he gets done, I'm going, I don't have the slightest clue what he's talking about.
Right. We didn't either. That's why I ran for drain commissioner.
What?
If I would have understood what he was talking about, if I would have understood where he wanted to go with some of these things, and that he had the best interest of the people in the drainage districts at heart, and what he was doing is to make their livelihood better, then I wouldn't have ran.
Well, there was a tremendous amount of money, as I remember, being spent on attorneys
Yes.
for him.
I can go in, yeah, once I took over the office, I went through all the bills. And, yeah, there was a number of bills outstanding from attorneys and engineers that we had to talk to. And worked on for it. I'm not gonna go into that there, so.
Well, why not? That makes it more interesting.
Yeah, it's all done and over with, so we're moving on. Yes, sir.
Are all the bills paid for Kettle Hole? Is that
Yes.
financially done?
Yes. What Kettle Hole was assessed for 1 year, and the year was last year. All the bills, I talked to the treasurer here a couple months ago, treasurer, all the bills are paid for. There should be a few $1,000s left over in that account. Because that assessment can only go to that drainage district, people in the drainage district. It can't go anywhere else. And our goal is, and the treasurer's behind me 100% on this, is to use that extra money to close Kettle Hole down. And so I know we went through the process about 4 or 5 years ago to close it down, and then it never went through. So I'm assuming we have to go through the same process again. And right now I got a call into the association's attorney, which is free, by the way. It doesn't cost me a dime, other than $250 a year to be a member of the association. So, and she is quite, like I say, again, quite knowledgeable, and she was back with me quite a bit. So she's checking into the proper procedure and posting it down. So I want to make sure I do it correctly. So that money, that's what the rest of that money is going to be used for. And then if I read the statute correctly, the rest of it would be turned over to the, if there's any left over, it would be turned over to the township to disperse. I'll give back to the people in the assessment district. So. Yes. Any more? Okay, well, that's everything I have for tonight. I hope you guys learned some stuff tonight. I'm going to get this, like I say, this should be on the county website next week, because the administrator got it today. I'm going to be adding to it. When I add to it, I'm going to upgrade that one on the county website. Well, my first goal is to talk to the township boards and start on that route. Okay, nothing else? Good evening.
It's really nice to have a drain commissioner who doesn't approach everything as a combative issue. You know, I appreciate that.
Yay.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any announcements or anything you want to tell the group while we're here? Well, if not, thank you for coming. Our next meeting is Thursday, February 15th. I have not got a commitment for a speaker yet. We're still working on that. And we will let you know through Sally's newsletters. See you next month.
A black cat. Noticing how this hair under his ear makes his skin look white. Kitty? Down here, why don't you identify yourselves and tell me what's going on?
Well, my name is Joyce Newman, and I'm actually the pastor of River of Life Ministry, and we partner with Love in the Name of Christ. And so this is a benefit tonight. This is a fundraiser for Love in the Name of Christ and all the things that they do in the community. So we are having a concert tonight, a worship concert, one worship concert, and we have sponsors that have undergirded this so that we could just provide worship as one body in Christ.
So we're blessed that you're able to be part of this. We're hoping that you can be part of this because God works in many ways. This organization is so awesome. They touch so many lives, so many families in this community in Benzie School. So if we could just, we just want to lift up
How many groups do you have?
How many partner churches do we have?
No, how many groups tonight are singing or performing?
Oh gosh, I don't know. They gathered from all kinds of different churches around here, and so you're going to see all these different...
9?
Probably, yeah.
Right, thank you.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Well, the first band is about ready to go. I'm just trying to show you what's in the dome.
he said it behind closed doors, unlike Joe Biden, who actually said on a live mic.
Well, like I know,
President Obama's
still snow last
Obamacare
night.
deal was a big effing deal, right? So the vulgarity, I find the media's.
Well, it's Friday about 5 o'clock. You see the temperature is 23.
$150 per ride. Our best price ever.
22.
Knowing what I know now, I would pay double to get the results that I've got.
These bicyclists were up to the actual snow earlier in the week. Now there's nothing there. It's been thawing for a couple days. Now it's really cold. I don't know whether to believe in global cooling or global warming. I'm so confused.
A, to target that individual, and B,
Hey.
would we ever know that it was Bin Laden?
A third option is more precise, but more risky. Vice Admiral Bill
We
McCrae.
have honeycat, also called gray cat, stupid, hairball, idiot.
I asked Bill McRaven,
None of these names does she come to. You can call her honeycat all day. She might look at you once in a while, but she won't come.
McRaven's plan to send the SEALs by helicopter into Abbottabad.
and they would
I think the best name for me and this cat is stupid.
Bin Laden, and
Hey.
either arrest him or kill
See?
him and fly his body or
See?
his person
Oh, she looked
out
up.
of the country.
But just getting to this compound will be dangerous.
Kitty?
Flying SEALs in violates Pakistani airspace, risking open combat with an American
Airface?
ally. As President Obama weighs his options, he instructs McRaven to prepare.
Well, we've
23 SEAL Team 6 operators start to train
lost
locations, including the
most of
Nevada
our
desert,
snow.
to replicate the altitude and
Where they would get on helicopters, go to a target, rappel down, go in.
On with our affairs today.
A black cat. Seriously, now this hair in front of his ear makes his skin look white. Kitty? Kitty?